Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Love Her Madly, a Mafia Kingdom novel by Jessica Ruben, narrated by Deepa Samuel and Sean K. Jane. 1. Gini. Earlier today, when the moon was shining full in the dark, star-littered sky, and my first round of water buckets were filled, but not yet deposited in the house, my father told me I'd be leaving our small village in the foothills of Aja Parvat to become a maid in the big city of Mumbai. As you know, you've become expensive to feed and house, particularly as your siblings continue to grow, he said. And as no man will ever come forward to marry you, leaving is a true blessing. He opened his hands, smiling, giving me his words like an offering of hope. A man named Mr. Shah had heard from a friend in my village that I was a hard worker. Mr. Shah then offered to take me as a maid and pay a fee, which we need, and he'll even pay you monthly for your work. Father tilted up on his toes, this news as incredible to him as the first rain of the season. I was so shocked that I almost dropped the water buckets in my hands. I couldn't even reply with words. Countless nights I'd begged for an answer to my prayers, and now a reply had arrived. By the way Father's mouth slightly gaped and the excitement in his wide eyes, I knew that he expected me to be joyous. This was the best result I could have hoped for. A maid in the magical city of Mumbai. As the reality set in, a smile broke out onto my face. I set the buckets down, trying to keep my poise despite the thrumming in my chest. Will I need to pack? My voice shook just as my body shuddered from anticipation. I adjusted my long green sari, thinking a new life awaits. You'll need nothing. Father blinked with relief, his eldest daughter finally having a course. Two matters principally occupied my father's mind at all times: the state of our crops and upcoming religious ceremonies, namely the weddings of his children. Everything else, such as the fact that no husband could be procured for me, was in the universe's domain and, therefore, not ours to worry over. He had been right. Finish your chores, he added, smiling wide. Mr. Shah will be here after the sun rises. I'm not worthy in this lifetime to have a husband. Still, I have always been Father's favorite of his 7 children. It's because I'm the beautiful one. In a sea of dark brown skin and darker brown eyes, I'm who he calls Golden Girl. The day of my birth, he declared my name to be Gini because of my petite frame and fine features. My coloring is light sand, and my eyes are grayish-blue, like rain clouds. The only feature I share with my parents and siblings is my hair. It's jet black and straight as a pin. On her deathbed, my mother told me, beauty and luck do not go hand in hand. My grandfather, name unknown, had been in the British military stationed in India. He used my grandmother against her will for sexual pleasures until it was time for him to return to his home in London. For a long while, the village decided to pretend that none of that had happened. An extraordinary kindness shown to my grandmother. 2 generations later, I was born with light skin and eyes, lighter than they should have been. With my arrival came the return of the village's memory, and the buried family shame became like dirty laundry, hanging out to dry in the midst of a monsoon. I am the reminder that in our family history is rape. Anyone who sees me knows this. My face is a stamp of disgrace for my family and village. My leaving will certainly be a relief to them all. Although they do like to come over in the dead of night, knocking on my door and asking for various herbal substances to help with maladies. I have always obliged, of course, as medicinal work has become my calling in recent years. But their rudeness to my face in the daylight will definitely not be missed. I quickly make my way down to the well, the soft black dirt padding my steps as I move to refill my water buckets. Arriving, I find Sumita, one of the elderly from our village, pulling up water. Of course, she has known me since my birth. Our village has only 40 homes. Everyone can trace their descendants back hundreds of years. Still, she turns her head away from me as I greet her. I want to remind her that I delivered her grandson 3 days ago, but I bite my tongue. If I could have one wish, I would wish to have dark eyes and skin, a normal face that no one would ever blink twice at. Mother often pointed out, as the visual descendant of sin, what else can you expect? My elder brother, Adi, used to get angry when we walked to school together. Boys stared at me with their mouths hanging open before pinching me, chasing me, and pulling my hair. They claimed only to tease, but everyone knew what happened to girls who spoke or touched any boy other than her fathers or brothers. My reputation was already soiled by virtue of my skin, and I never wanted to add to it. I would run off when I saw the boys coming, hiding in the bushes or taking alternate routes, even if that meant lateness to school. I trusted that if I was good enough in this life and treated the ones around me with kindness, the universe would reward me in the next. But Adi didn't think that way. He would yell at the boys, screaming and shouting to get away from his sister. He would throw rocks from the side of the road, telling them to get lost. But that's just the way Adi is. I'm not that way. I straighten my back, looking at the well, before forcing a smile on my face. I cannot let Sumita's dismissal deter me from acting kindly. The elderly must be respected at all times. Setting my buckets aside, I take the buckets from her wrinkled hands and fill them one at a time. When they are full, I hand them back. She grunts what sounds like, "Thank you," keeping her eyes averted. When my own buckets are refilled, I stare up at the brightening sky and the mountains to the north before leaning down to touch a patch of dewy green grass. Father will be glad to see the weather is turning. Despite my busy mind, I force my legs to pick up their pace. Each trip to the well takes approximately 30 minutes, and I have 5 more trips to make. I've never been more thankful for the labor. It keeps my mind focused on the task at hand instead of whirling with anxiety and excitement of what's to come. I'm in the hands of the universe, I tell myself on repeat, barely believing that, in short order, I'll be leaving to Mumbai. I do note that Mumbai is large and busy, although I only know this through Adi. He travels between our village and Mumbai to sell our mangoes and other wares. Once he told me, "Mumbai is so loud and dirty. The streets are filled with motorcycles and buses, men on foot and children begging to eat. Lights are on the streets, so the evening is still bright as day. It's so many people. You feel like a bug waiting to be crushed. You have to run to keep up with everyone." To me, it sounds exciting. A colorful world with sounds I've never heard and scents my nose have never smelled. So many people, none of whom know me and my past. I want to find Adi now to ask if he's ever seen the maids or how large the homes are, but he is not around. I continue moving forward, my cheeks widespread from smiling. At this hour, most of my siblings have either left for school or are working the fields, transplanting paddy seedlings. We all do what we ought to do. Sweat pours down my face as red flies swarm around my head, speaking to each other in buzzing sounds. Luckily, the bugs are friends of mine. I listen to their conversation and hum as though I were part of it. It has begun to rain. I glance around and notice everything turning green. The world is opening. Singing a tune, I smile at my youngest brother, who is brushing his teeth before washing his face in the outhouse. He calls out to me, and I shout, "Hello!" my hands too full to wave. Next time I see him, I will bring him a gift. I use my elbow to open my front door, my arms straining from the weight. "Here she is!" Father shouts from the floor, sitting cross-legged on our rug, with two strangers beside him. His eyes brim with tears. "Just as beautiful as I said, yes?" He chuckles, putting out his hand and gesturing for me to come to him. "She will make an excellent worker. Perfect temperament, strong too." I walk over, careful to set the buckets beside us before taking my place next to my father. He touches the sides of my face with his fingertips, and suddenly I feel my own tears welling up. "Oh, Father, leaving? How? Who will bring your water? Fetch your tea, cook your meals? Yes, my sisters are growing, but they are still in school. My younger sister, Ashi, will have to stay home then." All of this I try to convey without words. He understands, nodding, his dark hands caressing the skin on my face like I am precious. With a soft but shaking voice, he tells me, "Put the water out back and then come here." I do as he said, standing up and adjusting my sari before breathing deeply and moving the buckets behind the door. Sitting beside my father, I finally take a look at the men in my home. One man is middle-aged, with sparse black hair and sallow skin. His scalp, like grease, shines. The other one is younger. He looks up at me, raising his eyebrows. He glances between father and me, his eyes calculating. His cheekbones are high, as though they were carved from rock. His dark brown eyes pause in their assessment of father before locking with mine. A hard swallow moves down my throat. I'm mesmerized by him. The back of my brain tells me he does not look Indian. In fact, I have never seen a man who looks as he, with such a clear, angular white face and large dark eyes. His hair is pulled up and wrapped high in a twist. It's a hairstyle I have seen on many men, and yet he is nothing like the others. Maybe it's because of the color, like darkly burned wheat, lips so full. My skin buzzes. My father shifts, and it breaks my trance. Looking down, I notice the younger man's plate is empty. Of course it is. I must cook. But the water hasn't been fully collected. I'll need to finish gathering water more quickly then. I look back to the door when the older man clears his throat. My gaze swings to him, catching his crooked smile. Bumps rise on my arms like pebbles. I want to speak, but speaking to an elder before spoken to is intolerable. I blink, drop my head, and wait for instruction from my father. Did the younger man notice my gawking? Embarrassment makes my blood heat. I need to calm down. I exhale, noticing the older man's shoes are clean leather and polished black. They gleam. I look at my own bare feet, grey from clean earth. "Hello, Gini." His voice is slick. I lift my face to the voice. The stranger's yellow teeth peek between scrawny lips. He pulls out a thin cigarette from a rectangular silver case, lighting it up with a match. I catch the glint of a heavy-looking watch around his wrist. Gold. "Come." Father nods, tapping the space beside him and nodding his head like he has a great surprise for me. His mood is lifting. "This here is Mr. Ishan Shah." He points to the older man. "And beside him is his son, Viraj. They will bring you to your new home where you will live and work. You will receive a weekly salary and a room of your own." He tries not to sound overjoyed, but it's unstoppable. My own stomach flutters as I press my side flush against my father. I turn, and we lock eyes, our happiness radiating against each other. My nerves are temporarily forgotten. I risk another look at Mr. Shah's son. He sits up taller, and I notice that he's big. Huge, broad shoulders. I can't tell how old he is, but he has a man's eyes. They're full of something, like he sees what others don't. Mr. Shah tilts his head, trying to catch my gaze, but I drop my face and look down, something telling me to hide. "Obedient," he chuckles, blowing smoke to the center of the table. My body shudders. A chill has the ability to wreak havoc through the insides, and, for some reason, Mr. Shah worries me. If my father notices my fear of this man, he doesn't say anything. "I told her the good news earlier," my father explains, turning back to me. "Gini will prepare breakfast now. She'll gather the vegetables from the field and then cook outside. She really makes the most delicious idlis." Turning to me, he whispers, "Don't think about the water. Ashi will finish fetching it." I nod. "Yes, father." Ashi will be taking my place as woman of the house. My mind whirs, imagining how she will fare. "I would like to come," Viraj pipes up, his deep, gravelly voice settling into my chest. Rough, dark stubble circles his jaw and the sharp planes of his face. I blink and turn to my father, confused, as the blood rushes through my body once again. Father laughs. I'm sure to a man like you, growing up in the big city, being here in the country is something of a novelty. He gestures around our room. If you would like to go with Gini to see the vegetables, please do. He happily bobbles his head from side to side, our way of conveying understanding. With a nod, Viraj stands to move next to me. His size dwarfs mine. Suddenly, I can barely breathe. Every square inch of this man is intense. Enjoy the field, son. Mr. Shah lifts his hand. I drop my head, swallowing hard. He smells so different from the men here. It's so good, like a warm spring day and sweet tobacco. And something else that I cannot pinpoint. I want to look up at him, but I won't. Can't. I take my thatched basket by the door before we silently make our way into the vast field. Although I know these grounds like the back of my hand, somehow I am the one following him. I quicken my pace and move toward the cucumbers. I pull one out of the ground and put it into my basket, trying to focus on my task and ignoring the strange pulse that has taken up residence inside my stomach. Lower, even. I want to speak to him, but any words that come into my mouth turn to static. As each quiet second passes, the pressure to speak increases. He bends down alongside me, touching the vines. His heavy leg brushes against mine. I hold my breath, wanting to touch him again so badly, and yet I'm so afraid. If I speak, he might stop. Maybe I should stay silent and pretend like I don't feel him. I don't want it to end. I move toward the potatoes, and he bends down again, his left side grazing my right. I pull up the roundest potatoes I can find, keeping my head down. I'm somehow shrinking in his presence, my head lowering and lowering. Maybe he thinks I'm just too busy to talk. Maybe he thinks everything you eat is fresh from this field. He stands up to his full, enormous height as he gazes, assessing. I wish the grounds were already fresh and green and not dusty or burned. Does he think our field is good? I bite my lip, worried. I can't imagine what he must be comparing my life to. Well, that's not entirely true. I know there's a huge world that exists outside of this one, even though I've never seen it. I've read about sights and sounds and smells that exist in other places. There are things called televisions where you can watch images, or radios where you can hear faraway voices. Once, a couple from a place called California came to visit. They were very kind and gave me a book about cities in America. My brother brings me books from the library in Mumbai too. I've read classics, and I even saw a science book once. It was in English, so I couldn't understand it, but I saw the photographs. I risk a look to his face and see straight white teeth, brown eyes that glow, hair shining in the sun. Something within me melts. My mouth opens and closes, not unlike a fish on its way to death. He's just so handsome. He tilts his head and raises his eyebrows, not unkindly, and I realize he is waiting for an answer. Oh, yes, we have everything we need. I have been cooking since I was old enough to heat water. With my mother, she taught me everything. She used to tell me, if a woman has hands, they must be used to cook and clean and work. Working is important in this life. I have to bite my tongue to stop rambling. He smiles, a small laugh leaving his lips. I wait for actual words, but he stays silent. The awkwardness pushes me into action, and I go back to choosing and picking vegetables. He lifts an onion and brings it to his nose. He's so sure of himself in a way I've never seen. I want to ask him where he's from. Why he's the one to pick me up and bring me to Mumbai. If I will be working for him or someone he knows. Is the house I will clean large? But I do no such thing. Without words, we continue to gather. He clears his throat, and I try not to jump.
Where is your mother?
She died during childbirth. I shrug. We all miss her, but death is a part of life.
Do you have a best friend here? Anyone in particular who matters to you above all others? A man, perhaps?
I blush at his insinuation. Oh, no, of course not. Only my father and siblings. I do wish I could have made more friends, but my circumstances make it difficult. I bite my lip, hoping he'll take my response and not ask for more.
Circumstances?
He presses. I exhale. Yes. All the people in my village can trace their ancestry back to their beginnings, but as you can see, I point to my eyes. There is a break in mine.
Oh.
He nods, something clearly passing over his face.
And what is your favorite color?
His eyes sparkle. Yellow, definitely yellow, like the sun. I cannot help but smile. How about you?
Black.
He smirks. Oh no.
Oh yes.
He nods, holding back a large smile.
And do you know your birthday?
I am 22. I don't want to ask his age, but I'm also dying to know. I have never spoken to a man who is not my family so freely, but it feels so good. Our eyes lock and something inside my chest opens. I've never dared myself to dream about a life with a husband. Maybe Viraj will call on me when I get to the city. Maybe he will not care about my past the way the village cares. Adi always told me that in the city there is a different sort of freedom. The thought has my heart pounding. Or maybe he is the owner of the house where I will work. Would he even marry below his caste? When we have what we need, I set the ingredients for our meal on the floor behind the house. Viraj watches, standing above me, as I peel the vegetables with a small knife. I can't help but want to show off for him. I want him to see that I am capable. The women from the homes next to me are laughing, cooking together, but they're quiet when they see a man is in their midst. I do not let their presence deter me. I act like I don't realize their silence and stares, and I drop the vegetables in one of the buckets of fresh, cool water. Using my hands, I rinse them. I have good hands. Does he notice? I can feel the hope bubbling in my insides. Could he like me? Would he marry me? I keep working.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?